It's 5:33. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dawn Dixon. I'm the vice chair, and I'll be presiding over this evening's meeting in our chairperson's absence. And I would like to call the meeting to order.
Try to exercise. Nothing's fun today.
We will start off with reading our ethics statement. We may have some changes in the agenda as we wait for members to trickle in. We are? Oh, okay. And we are all set and ready to roll. Conflicts of interest reminder per NCGS 138A 15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid all conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us in this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. Mr. Dunn. Okay. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. We'd like to start off this evening's meeting with our celebrations and recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. I would like to start our evening by recognizing two of our core value award winners. As we did not meet in December, we'll start with that core value, which was responsibility. Responsibility is being accountable for one's actions and to know and follow various rules, laws, and conduct codes. Responsible students treat others fairly, are trustworthy, and honor their commitments. These students show responsibility through their words and actions toward others. They can be trusted to follow directions and treat others fairly. And with that, I'll recognize our first recipient, Riley Demoff. Riley is always working, follows directions, and always helps fellow classmates. Riley was recommended by Ms. Hannafin in the 2nd grade, and tonight is representing kindergarten through 2nd grade. Next, I would like to recognize Winston Daughtry. Winston is always prepared for class and always takes the initiative to ask if she has missed anything when she is absent. She is very conscientious about doing her very best at whatever she is working on. We are so proud of her. She is recommended by Ms. Cade in the 3rd grade and is representing 3rd through 5th grade tonight. Our next award recipient for responsibility is Panacera Purcell. Panacera is the epitome of responsibility. She takes initiative in everything that she does. She does not have to be asked twice to do anything. She's a real Johnny on the spot. She's not only faithful about her own work, but she sees that those around her know what to do as well. She's a great student and a wonderful person. She represents the 8th grade, was recommended by Mr. Ward, and is representing the entire 6th through 8th grade group. Next, I would like to recognize Jeffrey Wilkins. Jeffrey is a very responsible student. He can be trusted to do his own work in and out of class. He takes pride in his work as well. He tells the truth, treats teachers and students fairly, and represents not only the 9th through 12th grade, but specifically our senior class, and was recommended by Ms. Berger. Yes. I believe he is in his 14th grade. On a side note, we're starting to hear that some of our students are receiving their acceptance letters. We do have confirmation that Jeffrey was accepted into NC State School of Engineering, and as we continue to get those lists, we'll give you more reports throughout the coming months. And with that, that recognizes all of our responsibility award winners. While they're posing for photographs, I'll tell you a little bit about January's core value, which was creativity. Creativity isn't something one can conjure on demand. It is more of something that a person must foster by way of culturing their environment and frame of mind. It is about taking hold of our internal creativity and giving it energy. In a school setting, these individuals have the ability to think outside the box and show courage in sharing new ideas to reach excellence. These students were nominated for showing creativity through thinking outside the box. These students are brave enough to develop new ideas and share them with others. Representing our kindergarten through second grade, coming out of Ms. Hannafin's second grade class, I'd like to recognize Krisha Parrish. Krisha has an amazing imagination and is able to use that imagination in her drawings and her writing. She loves to draw and create things anytime that she is allowed. Next, I would like to recognize Riley Ward. She represents the 3rd through 5th grade classes, is in the 5th grade, and represents specifically Ms. Hines-Creech's class. Riley keeps a box of assorted markers, yarn, stickers, and other supplies in homeroom to use whenever necessary. Her proclivity for creativity in all activities is very much appreciated and recognized in class. She also makes sure that she interjects color and creativity as she's trying math problems and other homework assignments to make sure that she's truly showing that she can figure out a way to solve problems with different materials. Bryce Perkins is our next recipient, coming from the 6th grade in Ms. Harris's class, representing all of the 6th through 8th grades. Bryce creates amazing diagrams and figures using different types of media. He always carries an assortment of markers with him so he can create works of art wherever he may be. His projects are always artistic and well-planned and show that out-of-the-box thinking that we're looking for. He always goes above and beyond to make sure that they're not only creative, but complete. Please join me in recognizing another one of our athletes is being recognized at the high school level, Abby Lampy. Abby is in the 11th grade, was recommended by Ms. Bruner, and represents all 9 through 12 grades. She is a very talented artist, but she is also very creative in her problem-solving skills. She can approach a math problem in a new and unique way that encourages not only her to learn more, but also encourages her classmates to see problems from a different angle. She enjoys learning and applying math in new situations as well, which in and of itself shows tremendous creativity. Please join me in recognizing all of our January Creativity Awards. While we finish with our photographs, I'll also give you a few updates about what's happening at the staff and faculty level. First, I'd like to make sure that our board is aware that our advanced ed accreditation team will be on campus on January 30th and 31st, which is this coming Monday and Tuesday. We have groups of students who will be representing different class groups for interviews, groups of parents that will be participating in interviews, and we also ask that you make yourselves available at 5 o'clock the Sunday prior. We try to get a time that wouldn't conflict with your meeting schedules. So at 5 o'clock the Sunday prior, which is the 29th, is coming Sunday. If you can be available, we'd love to have you join us at their host hotel for a quick interview, a meet and greet, and then they'll go on to dinner and begin their processes for the week. This Sunday at 5 o'clock, I got final confirmation yesterday. And she'll need maybe an hour. There'll be a 6-person panel. It'll be just an opportunity to meet. They might ask me a few questions from an interview perspective. That way your obligations will be met at that time. The sleep in on Outlet Drive. All right. Transition back to one more student award. As you may be aware, there is something called the Victor Bell Jr. Scholarship through the College Foundation Incorporation. And only a select few students are even eligible to be recommended for this award, and even fewer are selected. We did have one of our 7th grade students who was eligible and nominated for the award. And although our student's name was not drawn for the scholarship, it's a bit of a lottery process, CFI would like to recognize this student for her dedication to learning and academic excellence. Please help me in congratulating Michelle Phipps as she receives her Certificate of Achievement for the Victor Bell Scholarship. Staff would also like to take an opportunity to thank the board and celebrate and recognize the board. During your November meeting, we voted to approve some funding to celebrate staff towards the end of the semester. That money was stretched as far as it could go and was able to get them a wonderful gift basket that included not only some gear for NCS, a nice zip-up hoodie, but also lots of items that were donated. Those collections of donations were made possible by the extremely organized efforts of Ms. Heifel and the dedicated volunteer service of two particular individuals from our PTO, Ms. Wendy Dunn and Ms. Julia House. So I'd like to thank all three of them for their efforts in making sure we were able to successfully celebrate our staff this winter. In addition, we were able to have a lovely lunch over at the Outback. We had a couple of board members that were at least able to pop in and say hello. One or two were actually able to sit down and have a full lunch with us, and that was a great opportunity. There are some pictures floating behind your heads, and one of them is one of our joyous pictures of trying to squeeze all 70 or so of us that were present into a single photo outside the Outback. And it got a little campy, but this is probably one of the easiest pictures that we've got. Everyone started getting goofy towards the end, pulling out selfie sticks. It was great. It was a wonderful time of camaraderie and enjoyment of each other's company. I'd like to recognize Stacy Moody. I believe she's in the audience today. She has accepted the position of front desk receptionist, and her duties officially began on January 1st. And to welcome her properly, we had an ice and snow event. We had 5 assemblies across 2 days and homecoming. So she has survived all of that and is now gearing up for the lottery process. So welcome, Stacy. Many of us know you and your gifts and talents and are very excited to see them in our front desk area. I would like to take a moment to recognize Angela Jenkins. She may or may not be here. We just found out yesterday late that we now have funding for a second robot, and if you know what that means, that's tremendous to our program. We have a sponsor through John Deere that has been very excited to help us grow our program. In fact, today in a call, we were offered free registration fees if we could come up with 12 teams tomorrow.
And parts.
Pardon?
And parts.
And parts and all that would be needed to fund that program. We said, can we call you for a June 1st start date? So just to let you know, the program not only in-house is very exciting for our students, we had so many students wanting to participate that the team was too big for all of them to be able to participate in the competition. So we know that the interest is there. We're already working on ways to weave it into the curriculum so that more and more students can participate in this program. We'll have more information about the individual students and their participation at our next meeting, but anytime funding comes in and allows us to grow a program, I want to celebrate that as quickly as we can. So congratulations, Ms. Jenkins. Another announcement, you may notice Jennifer Antigiovanni. She's one of our high school English teachers. She is starting or completing one of her Master's of School Administration programs and is going to be an on-site intern for us this semester. So during her planning period and after school, she'll be learning all the ins and outs of administration. And to welcome her properly, we're starting her with an advanced ed accreditation review. So we try to make sure everybody learns quickly from our small business. Another thing we'd like to recognize is a couple of students who are not present because they're out busy, but we did find out this week that Megan Musgrave represented in our new charter school at the state gymnastics tournament. I think I need more water. She did place first on floor and first all around, which means she's a state champion for both of those areas and her division. What's wonderful about gymnastics is that if a student has the talent, they can affiliate with our school even if they're practicing off-site, and so she was able to continue to compete and participate in the NCHSAA program, so we congratulate them. It's high school. I don't know that I'm assuming it's varsity.
Varsity.
Where did he go? Also, Michaela Flick and Tylea Triggs have both qualified for the state track meet for the 1A, 2A track meet. Michaela has qualified for shot put and Tylea has qualified for hurdles. So we're very excited and encourage them to do their absolute best during that state tournament. Don't want to say too much about wrestling just yet. Don't want to jinx it. We'll find out more this week. So we are learning more and more, but their state tournaments are coming soon as well. Other than that, I'd like to let you know that we have the kindness challenge going on this week. So board members, if you haven't seen a flyer, we'll make sure we get that forwarded to you. But our students are taking this very seriously. They're challenged to complete 25 acts of kindness in a day. We're giving them a week to try it over and over again. Some of them learned very quickly that there's a couple that are pretty easy to do, as Officer Jeffrey found out when a row of students, one after another, kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And at first he said, what did you all do? And who is hiding where? And then they said, no, it's on our checklist. We're making sure that we do one of the acts of kindness, and since you're here, we wanted to take a moment to say thank you. In addition, we've had visits in the office from some of our kindergarten, first and second grade students as they deliver thank you cards to administration and to our desk staff. So our students are taking very seriously this idea of making sure that they can spread the kindness challenge across campus. And that concludes my remarks. remarks for celebrations and recognitions.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to all of our awardees. Of course, keep up the good work. We're so proud of you and appreciate your efforts as News Charter School students. And to our teachers, congratulations. Great, great work. You know, I'm a lover of robots, so yay. So very exciting for all of them. Miss Moody, awesome to see you. So good job to everybody. We're going to proceed with our public comment section. We don't have anyone signed up, but I just want to make sure no one has any public comments. Okay, well, we certainly appreciate everybody joining us this evening. We'll move right into our approval of minutes from the November meeting because we didn't have a formal December meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
The motion is
Second.
moved and seconded by Mr. Neville. All in favor? Roll call. Opposed? Motion given. Motion passed. Okay. Trying to think what Tony said. I can't remember right now. And I can't see because it's dark here. Okay. We will now welcome someone from the PTO to give their monthly report. All right. And Mr. Lynch is here from the Booster Club. Welcome.
Thank you, report. Not sure if anybody reads our Facebook page or not, but Monday I volunteered for shows for lunch, and we had our executive director, Mrs. William, and board member Chris Brown.
I can't hear Mr. Lynch very well. In fact, his microphone seems to be on, but there's no audio to it.
That's okay.
I think he's speaking about something kind of important, so.
Yeah.
How's that? There you go. I said during our lunch period Monday, our lunch chair was on vacation, even though she was sick, and our other associate was on vacation. And we were without staff to serve our kids lunch. Our executive director, Ms. Pulliam, and board member Chris Johnson stepped up and were slinging hot dogs for our kids on Monday. And I would just like to say thank you so much for doing that.
Johnson refers to it as the steak and
Oh, there you go, that works. I wasn't here for the November meeting, and we didn't have one in December, but I wanted just to let everybody know that we did have our two winter fundraisers in the Booster Bash and the Booster Bazaar, and both of them were very successful. I think the kids really had a good time at the Bash. It was a good turnout, and although the vendor participation was down at the Bazaar, it was a profitable experience for the Booster Club. And I understand that our next big fundraiser will be the reverse raffle that the Booster Club usually does, but we're going to work it in conjunction with the board and the PTO. So we're thinking that's going to be 3 times as successful as it always is. And we're looking forward to that. And if there's anything that the athletic board can do, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll move her to later in the agenda. If you'd like to give your director's report, Executive Director Pulley.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. I'd like to start with an enrollment update. As of today, we have 900 students enrolled, which is off by about 17 from our ADM at the beginning of the year. We're feeling okay with that. We have a lot of families that when we call them to replace an open spot have already settled into their school, and so we go down to the next person on the wait list. But right now we have no vacancies, K through 5, 6, 7, or 8. Our vacancies are predominantly in the 9th, 11th, and 12th grade, which is very normal for us at this time of year. Just so you know, our allotment projections for next year for 2017-18, with our building capacity not really changing and our cohorts aging a little bit up and getting a little bit bigger, we went ahead and put in 944, the same number that we used for this year's planning allotment. We probably will budget differently than that, but for right now, we wanted to make sure we would have full funding people if we were to hit that number, so we went ahead and went with that higher number again this year. As far as staff goes, with the position being filled by Ms. Moody at the front desk and a couple of teacher assistant positions being filled, we are fully fully staffed at this time. And we have some Title I funds that are becoming available this semester that we'll be using to hire some part-time staff to come in and help our students specifically in the area of reading. As far as assessment and performance updates, we have a PSAT that will be administered on campus in a couple of weeks, and it's specifically for 8th and 9th graders or students in younger grades who qualified for Tip or John Hopkins. And we right now have 32 students who've signed up to take this voluntary test, and we're looking forward to seeing what these results tell us about these students and tell the students about themselves so that we can help plan their high school careers even more correctly. I've mentioned already about the advanced ed visit that's upcoming. Just again, a reminder, 5 p.m. this Sunday at the Sleep Inn. Please join us for a meet and greet and opportunity to interview with the team that's coming. We are large enough that this year they're sending a 6-person team, which is one of the larger teams that they'll send to a campus. They will work to go in and out of every classroom on campus. Again, meet with interviews with teachers, students, parents, and some of our staff groups. And then they will present to us on Tuesday before they leave around 3:30 to our whole faculty what their recommendations are, etc. We're feeling very confident with the process, and we know that it's designed to be a growth and a continuous improvement process, and looking forward to finding what they see in us that we see in ourselves as well.
This, you're doing it in a more informal setting, because last time we formally sat down with the team at the school. So you're saying this is going to serve that board interview process?
He agreed that with work schedules being as they were, that they could make themselves available at 5 o'clock. The interview itself will probably still be formal, but it'll be at the hotel. That way they can immediately leave and go to dinner and start their planning session. We were just trying to accommodate everyone's schedule, which was very, very flexible. So it'll still be a formal interview on your part, but it's also an opportunity to meet all 6 of them before they launch in their other processes here on campus.
So is there any graphic material you want us to review? Or
Make sure you have a copy of the full report that's been submitted, which includes the assessment results from the parent survey and the student survey, as well as the teacher survey. I don't think you'll find anything surprising in it, but definitely I'll get you a copy of that full report and then make myself available for any questions that you may have. Okay.
How about the attire? It is on the weekend. Makes you wear.
I would say business casual would probably suffice. Pack it on. They may be casual, but they also know that they're meeting with their board members, so I'm not sure how that would change their dress. But I will meet with her tomorrow for logistics. She's going to physically come to campus, walk the campus, get a feel for how long it's going to take them to move from place to place. I will ask that very specific question and see if it's anything other than business casual, I will let you know. Yes, please do let me know if for some reason you're I will assume the positive, so let me know if you can. As far as events that are coming up this month, of course, you're already aware of the Kindness Challenge. Next month, or next week, of course, the Advanced Ed, our high school basketball season is winding down, and we will begin our application process on February 1st. At this point, we have almost all of our intent forms returned, and we have a pretty full kindergarten class. There'll be a few vacancies for new families that as we grow and have students across the K-12 spectrum, those siblings do start to fill those seats up. I believe as of last count, it was somewhere around 48 to 52 of those seats will be occupied by siblings of the 72 that are available. If you'll recall, last year with the construction, we were able to open a 4th kindergarten classroom. They do smaller class size of 18 versus the 24 in the other rooms. So we now have 72 kindergartners, 72 first graders. So we don't expect to have as many vacancies in first grade as we have had in the past. We do, of course, expect a few vacancies in 9th and 10th grade. That's typical for that transition year. But right now, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade cohorts are looking pretty strong. As we go into February, I don't think there's any other very specific events. We'll be focusing mostly on getting our quarter progress reports ready for February 9th, and then gearing up for that last quarter of the year where most of our testing occurs, where a lot of our administrative processes for registering students for next year. Our guidance team is already starting to meet with the 9th graders to help make sure that they've got the appropriate courses that they need for 10th grade. And then as a staff, we're working all together on some professional development items so that we can have a stronger program going into next year. Our Wizard of Oz production will have tickets going on sale. Brad?
February
February 8th.
February 8th. February 8th.
Tickets will go on sale February 8th because we're hosting the production this year at JCC. The ticket office at JCC will be running all of the sales for us. So all families will find more information about that as we post it onto Facebook and the website as well and send it home in our email communications. But we just wanted to get everybody a heads up. You won't be buying them on campus or from students. You'll be going directly to the site. And what's great is you can buy numbered seats. So you'll be able to say, I have 5 family members that want to sit together and pick their seats in the auditorium. And so you won't have to worry about the sort of general admission problems that sometimes are generated when you're trying to save seats for large groups. So that's a bonus as well. I think that covers it. Thank you.
We have no items for our consent agenda. So we'll move along to our committee reports. Finance.
It should be a pretty short update. The budget's in front of us. We were projecting somewhere running around 88,000 surplus at last month's reporting. Actually, it would have been a November report. Based on a mid-year reevaluation about projected revenues, as well as closer line of sight to expense projections, we've actually increased that number up to around 122,000 surplus. That's going in the right direction. Just to put it in perspective for everybody, based on the audit stuff from last year, we had a meeting with the auditor, with J. Sharp and Company, but basically, if we can end the year with roughly $145,000 to $150,000 surplus, it actually wipes away all the issues in the audit. So that's ultimately our goal, because that'll get us totally off any kind of fiscal probation or notices. So that's our stretch goal for what we're doing. We're pretty optimistic. We think we can hit that based on we paid off the line of credit, and now we're rationalizing like how much we actually leveraged from last year's cash flow shortage on that. So we should be finalizing that number by next board meeting. So we should have an even more accurate bottom line number for the surplus. But kudos to the school for really just really prioritizing the things it must have, and we really want to kick off the fundraiser that we'll talk about a little bit later, as far as really just putting that on another level. And as part of that, we really want to start investing that back in the school. So on the finance side, really good progress. Really happy with the team, with Acadia, the office administration, the finance side. Just really good collaborative effort.
Just to add to that, just for the record, our November minutes reflected a line of credit balance of about $159,000. As Rodney mentioned, we paid off the line of credit. We did that on the 22nd of December, and we've had a zero balance on the line of credit to this date, so the 24th, which, if you'll remember, one of the provisions of the line of credit was we had to have at least 30 days of a zero balance. So we've satisfied our loan. That was the main provision of the loan term that we had to satisfy. So we've satisfied that, hopefully. With the work of the school and finance committee, we will not have to dip into the line of credit, and we can end the year, as Rodney said, north of 50,000. So we're on track. So thanks, everybody.
Did you mention the bullet? Were you going to present on the fundraising proposal, or that's a link?
We'll cover that, I guess, resource development.
Okay. All right. Any items from personnel?
Yeah, so we do have a fiscal policy in front of the board. It's a draft review, so what we'd like to do is submit that for recommendation, for feedback, and then probably vote on it at the next board meeting. Submission for now. It's very thorough. There's a lot of items in there. It's impossible to cover every permutation of the fiscal stuff. You really have to take a good shot at a start, and then based on some of the things we'll learn along the way, we may need to make adjustments. But credit to the administration for putting the first draft together with Ms. William and the rest of the staff. So we'd submit that to the board for consideration, and then bring it up for vote at the next board meeting.
And I'll just add to that on the fiscal policy. Ultimately, the board is responsible for the fiscal viability of the school. So throughout this policy, you'll see board directors, but the finance committee acts at the direction of the board of directors. So the finance committee, having at least 2 board members, is an extension of the board. So that can kind of be change when you look at the policies.
For a submission of revisions prior to the next board meeting, or you want to do a final vote at the next board meeting?
It'd be good if we could get a final vote at the next meeting, so we've got our finance committee the 3rd week of February, so within the next 2 weeks, if you've got any comments or suggestions, just send them. Then we can present the final minute.
So can you give me like the date you need the revisions by to
2
the
weeks.
order? 2 weeks from
Today,
Valentine's Day.
If it will help, we can circulate an electronic version of it if you prefer to track changes in a sort of a Word environment. We can do that as well.
And so we should send this to who?
yeah, just send it to me and have the feedback in by February 10th.
February 10th? Okay. Can you maybe note that, because I'm thinking if we need someone to look at the minutes, that's closer to the very next meeting, which clearly would have missed your February 10th, so can we send this out separately, electronically, noting that they have to, any revisions or feedback have to go to Rodney by the 10th? Any other questions or comments on the fiscal policy? Thank you. I'm sure that was quite a bit of work to put that together. It looks rather comprehensive, so. Weekend reading, I guess. Okay, now personnel. Are there any items from the personnel committee? None? Okay. Our audit committee, which really represents the academic subcommittee, and we had a meeting last week. I think so. Discuss a number of items. One is an academic readout report that will be presented tonight or at a future meeting. A future meeting, okay. So we reviewed the initial draft of the academic readout that the committee asked administration to put together almost as an annual report or at least a couple of times a year, which of course we get a lot of information about EOGs or EOCs, but we were looking for a deeper dive into some of the internal performance and assessments of the school. So whether it's GPAs, standardized test scores per grade, like, for seniors or juniors, or the Shaker and the plan, ACT, SATs, and things of that nature. So I think that will give all of us a more comprehensive feel of how our students are doing, as opposed to just looking at students through one lens, which is EOG and EOC, because we know they have a very full story to tell us, and so we're looking at some of these milestones that can serve as strong indicators so that we can be as responsive as necessary to our student population. So we discussed some of the initial items that we're going to be looking at, and then administration is collecting data and putting together a report that will really summarize some of the highlights and areas perhaps of concern that we need to be attentive to. On that, that was really the launch pad for a broader discussion about our academic story here at News Charter School and what direction that we want to go. We all know on the board that we've had many, many conversations, lots of brainstorming, good dialogue on what we want news to look like as a school. We all know we're doing a good job. The data certainly reflects that. But as any school should look to, you want to move from good to great, you want to move from great to excellent, you want to move from excellent to superior, and that is our absolute goal and charge as an institution. And so I think the teachers have had a lot of good discussions, and we went over some of those in our academic meeting. So we're now, just at the point where we're picking and choosing, we're seeing what fits, what we can do, and most importantly, we are starting comprehensive planning, because that is key to, us being able to successfully execute whatever new initiatives we want to do. So I think it's great that, we have a lot of consensus, a lot of buy-in, a lot of participation, because that would be key for us, to be able to launch any new initiative. So I know Ms. Pulliam and the rest of the team will be bringing some exciting possibilities to the board as they continue to kind of look for areas that I think naturally fit with what we do, and then ways in which we can stretch ourselves. Did you, Rodney or Susan, you want to add to anything?
I mean, the only thing I think as we think about, like, we're having a parallel discussion, and this is where strategy really comes together, right? Is that, like, on the finance side, and preparing the academic strategy, right? And then really, as we look through the rest of the year and looking into next year, that's where we really want to make those strategic trade-off decisions. So, really happy with the conversations, really the staff and administration thinking bold and out of the box. And then it's up to us from a resource development perspective, get on the resource things.
Resources. I think that's a great segue to some exciting news we have on how we can get more.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to let Eric Brownlee, he's chairing the fundraising committee under Chris. Chris couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to speak for him. But we've talked about capital fundraising for a couple of years, and we've done a couple of ad hoc efforts, and there was really a sense that the school and the stakeholders really want to pull together as a unified body. We really think that the power is a lot more when we all pull together. So I'll just let Eric, we first met, we decided to do a comprehensive reverse raffle. Given the second half of the year, it's probably the fastest, quickest, most streamlined thing to do. And Eric's volunteered to step up and kind of help lead it with a team of us. So I'm going to let him kind of speak to the details of where we're at.
Thanks for having me tonight. Basically, got a date, March 31st. Our target sales are 1,000 tickets, which is pretty ambitious considering I think we've always sold a lot of 250 and maybe sold 225 of those, give or take. Last year, that's about where the number fell. And, but that was the Booster Club and the school. When the school did it, we were so much smaller. So our effort is to have every child in the school sell one ticket. That's 950 tickets. The rest of them should be picked up by other supportive parties and whatnot. Tickets are $100. You get a meal for two. Okay, everybody go around. It's going to be at the Ag Center, and every 40 tickets will win $100. The actual purse, will be a graduated purse based on the ticket sales. So, for example, if we sell 1,000 tickets, the first prize will be 10 grand, second will be 5,000, third 2,500, fourth 1,000, and fifth place will be $500. That keeps somewhat in line the percentages back when we used to sell 250 tickets. That your odds, I guess, for lack of a better term. Heard about odds. And so anyway, long story short, Ms. Pulliam has decided, or will have to decide how to incent the classes. We've had a great deal of discussion. Wendy and Rodney Dunn have been great, giving us some ideas and thinking outside the box a little bit. And I think this year's fundraiser will be a good measure of what we
particular kind of fundraiser for kids. So I'm very optimistic. We've got a great deal on the printing, and just looking forward to the board's approval, and so we get to sell the tickets.
Just chime in and say, if we really think about it, $100, it is a lot of money to some people. We understand that, but also we believe that, they can get 10 people to give them $10. So it's not like they just have to, spend $100 themselves. So, and we really believe that we all rally behind it. We actually think 1,000 tickets is achievable. So that's our stretch goal. The board members, we all got to sell 10 apiece. If I say that. So anyway, no, I think it's a good plan. We're going to learn a lot. I mean, like Eric said, we've not been this big to try to be collectively before, so we'll shoot for the moon and get a few stars along the way. So appreciate all the support we can have. We'll do it at the Ag Center. Really, we'll try to make it a fun, immersive experience. We're actually even talking to the Booster Club and PTO about like their contributing. It can be like helping even do like a silent raffle, silent auction while we were there at the event to make it kind of fun and stuff. So really, kudos to the PTO and Booster Club willing to meet and come together as one team in the effort.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, way to go committee, way to take the lead, and way to think outside the box and think big. If you don't ever think big, you'll never achieve big. So, and the collaborative effort across PTO, the booster, and of course the board will be, hopefully make a big impact and we can sell 1,000 tickets. I would maybe suggest printing a little bit of the prize information on the ticket somewhere. Eric and I talked a little bit about it before the meeting, but if that's not possible, the tickets look great. But if there can be any way, sweeten the pot a little bit, that might help from a sales perspective.
Similar to a traditional fundraiser where students would get a packet of information that would sort of have the brochure and the catalog. We're going to create a packet similar to that that'll have the tickets, an informational flyer, and anything else that they need to know. But if we do need to print anything directly on the ticket, we need to make sure that Eric knows because he is coordinating that piece for us. Those types of recommendations are critical.
If the committee thinks that the added brochure or whatever is fine, that's good with me.
Just last thing I'd say is, this is where we step up and lead. We start, naturally, we've already anticipated we'll probably have some people that push back on fundraising or whatever, but, this is where if we want to be great and superior like we talk about, we understand the funding landscape for the school. We really want to see a lot of this invested back into the school and into the classroom, and that's the purpose of it, primarily. So it's time for us to step up and rally together and get it done.
Thank you very much for all the work on this. Very exciting, the 10th anniversary. So, hi, Caitlin.
Do we need to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the fundraising committee, of resource development committee here to proceed with that? Okay. Okay. No, that's fine. And just a tiny point of order: each student doesn't have to buy a ticket. Each student can sell a ticket. Somebody else can pay the $100.
Actually, the goal is for grandma and grandpa to buy 2 each.
That's what, see, as long as I'm putting it over there, so,
Okay, so we move the student government report down, and now that you're here, if you'd like to give us a report.
Thank you. Sorry for the tardiness. Yes. But our biggest project that we've been working on lately is homecoming, and that was this past Friday, and it went very well. It was the biggest turnout we've ever had for a homecoming, and we made enough money to have a more than fantastic prom, so that will begin planning this week. Also, as you've seen, we're doing the Great Kindness Challenge Week, and I think that's mainly focused for elementary school, but it's also great to see middle and high school participating as well. So yes, not much since Christmas break, but our yearbook has started, and we've been planning that, and it's going very well. so we're excited to see what happens with that.
Oh. Just missed that little update. Okay. Facilities. Go ahead.
Okay, you want to speak? Did Chris talk? Okay, all right, I got it. Facilities committee met, last week, Susan? And, I think so, yeah. Derwin Stevenson and Jimmy Boykin joined us, from Stevenson Design and Build, and we talked about the expansion of the campus and what was our next steps. So, there's some needs analysis that still needs to be done. We'll talk with Vanguard and see if we can't use that as a bargaining chip for future modulars. If we need to replace one, and we talked about moving one of the ones over next to the gym, adjacent to the gym, and adding a multi-purpose center, actually building a bricks and mortar facility. It would be kind of quasi-gym, but not as nice as a gym. To get the overflow for, it could be small basketball games, it could be, anything, yeah. Wrestling, anything, yeah. Right. So, we're on it, we're waiting for staff to give us kind of a needs analysis from a classroom perspective so that we can go to Vanguard and say, okay, if we move that unit, but we get another unit, what's the trade-off? So, obviously our goal is to eventually eliminate all the modulars because they're not energy efficient at all. So they really kill us on power. In Smithfield, power utilities is awful. So anyway, that's our goal, and we'll continue to pursue that. But we also talked about a contingency fund for future repairs. Right now, school's in good shape, but maintenance is very key to maintain a facility such as this. So hopefully we'll have some surplus so that we can start setting up a contingency fund for future years. And I think that's all we talked about.
Can tell because it's so dark, but our class that was needing repair and replacement has been taken care of, and that was at no cost to the school. It was done under warranty or kindness. So at this point, as far as I know, all glass is perfect on campus. Now, I'll knock on wood.
I think that was a family gift from the person that was kind of responsible for doing it in the first place.
I'm sorry, we had 3 different broken windows over time. One in the small corner that no one could see because it's hiding behind the vending machine. That one's been fully repaired. This one had a seal that broke, so it was more of a warranty thing. And we did have a broken glass on a gym door, and yeah, they were kind enough to help us take care of it.
Good. Thanks for the reporting. Athletic committee is going to be Susan.
The athletic committee did need to just review the academic eligibility policy to make sure it's in line with our current standards and any changes to grade scales. They're continuing to review that, and if they have any recommendations, they'll be brought before the board at the next meeting.
Have any old business for discussion? New business.
Madam Acting Chairman, this is a report from the nomination subcommittee of the Board Development Committee. So most of this was written to be directed towards the chairman because by definition he is the chairperson of the nomination committee, and so you'll have to excuse it being presented in that tense. But I appreciate being allowed to present this report on his behalf, and I would like to thank him publicly for allowing me to serve on this committee up to this point. Before I give the report, I would like to inform you of my resignation from the nomination committee, effective at the end of tonight's meeting. While I would like to step away from the duties and responsibilities of that committee itself, please consider me at your disposal to provide any advice, procedural consultancy, historical context, or any other assistance at any time. So in accordance with our bylaws and based on nomination committee previous polling of the individual members of the board of directors, the committee recommends that as the board chairperson, you appoint a new nomination committee, which by definition is to be made up of the board chair, the executive director, quote, limited other board members, end quote, and other stakeholders or community members at the chair's discretion to begin the process of recruiting additional members for the board of directors. The new committee would present its first report at the February board meeting. Included in that report should be a full list of committee members, a declaration of the board's intent to seek new voting members, and a description of the application and nomination process. The committee further recommends that you undertake a holistic recruitment needs assessment survey among board members to be taken into consideration by the committee during the recruitment process. Additionally, you should complete any other actions necessary to be in timely compliance with our bylaws requirement for the public call for nominations to be made in February. To that end, this report is respectively submitted and needs a motion to accept to comply with our bylaws statement that if the board is going to seek nominations, it will begin that process with a vote at the meeting in the month of January. Thank you. I'm asking for
Yes.
a motion to
Do
accept.
I have
the
a
process.
motion to accept the?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
My written statement will be submitted to the secretary for inclusion in the minutes and also forwarded to the chair for his information since he didn't get to hear it.
Procedurally, can we nominate now a chair of the nominating committee? No.
By definition, the chairperson of the board is chair of the nominations committee and appoints other members at his discretion. Other than the executive director, she by definition also is on that committee. She's actually by definition on all committees.
Okay, so we will be looking to hear from our chair to appoint, but that committee.
That should be part of their first report at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Basically, we've signaled our intent at this point by taking the vote.
so the board should be informed of the full nominating committee by our February meeting for a vote. Thank you very much.
Additional new business.
Yes.
Staff has presented to the academic committee for review a draft calendar for the 2017-18 school year, and at this point, we present it for your review and potential and request approval.
I have one question out of the gate. Obviously, the December break is in conjunction with Johnson County Schools, but what about the spring break batches? All right, very good.
Confirm that spring break does.
Okay, that's key.
There's one small change to the style and format of the agenda this year, or excuse me, the calendar this year as opposed to previous years. You'll notice that some of the teacher work days have an asterisk on them, and that's to give teachers a heads up that those days are days intended for collaborative group professional development versus general classroom time or other planning time. So they'll know ahead of time that these are critical days to be physically on campus.
Is this pretty much like this year's calendar with the second quarter ending before the Christmas break, et cetera?
Just a shifting of the dates, this is essentially the exact calendar that we have this year.
And the staff and everybody worked on it, I mean, that tells us that it was fairly well accepted, even though slightly off kilter.
When all the feedback we received
I would
has
just
been
say,
positive.
there were a couple of parents who said to me, what am I supposed to do with my kid for this week? And which I replied, I don't know if we can, it's almost like a track out sort of a situation in a way. I don't know if we can really.
Is that?
Well, like the Christmas break, the county started, well, yeah, just by the way it fell on the calendar, the county started the Monday before we did. And so, there were no out-of-school type things and like that. I don't know if we can.
just like to say this might be the first year I don't tweak something on the calendar. You guys did a good job.
I make a motion to accept the calendar as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
And I have one more new business item, or should probably have been in celebrations. You may or may not be aware, this is National School Choice Week. We've been celebrating that starting with Monday. We have our scarves. I think it's the same celebratory item that we get on a regular basis, but if you have not had a chance to pick up the cool scarf, there are several of them over here with the check-in materials. Also, you'll notice several of us are wearing our stickers indicating that we are an ambassador, and I have a roll of those stickers, so if you'd like to wear them in your workplace environments to continue to celebrate school choice, that would be lovely. Thank you. Just wish it was blue, that's all.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for me to go into closed session.
One quick question. I did want to bring something up. So as we reviewed the finance committee recommendations, we look like where we're tracking. Also, the results of the academic committee. Not for I don't know if we necessarily make a motion for it, but I'd just like to socialize it a little bit pre-early. I'd like to make a move to give Ms. William a chance to come back at the next board meeting with a acceleration for a staff development, professional development plan. We don't necessarily need to give her a dollar figure right now, but just because I think we should increase for the rest of the year how much we've got in the budget for professional development. So I'd like to see her just work with the academic committee and staff based on the good financial performance that they've done and putting the strategy and stuff together to give her some way to start accelerating that, not only just for the rest of the year, but as she thinks into the summer and then come back in January with a proposal that we can sign off. She can vet it with the finance committee prior to the next meeting, but the purpose would be strictly on creating some additional staff development.
I absolutely love the spirit of that. And I'm going to guess since you're on the finance committee, do you feel confident that we can do that and hit our surplus goals with regard to the audit? And I mean,
I'm 99% confident next month I'll be 100%.
okay.
Because
No,
the budget is.
not necessarily. You're not so, yeah.
Yeah, we've had some just kind of off-the-cuff discussion. But look, they've been very cost conscious, so I have confidence when they would come in, we can.
Understood. And not that I don't think we can hit two goals at once. I just want to make sure we feel confident before we start.
I'm also in agreement with you in the spirit of it. The only hesitation I have is that as we begin the planning for our launch of whatever direction, one of the critical things that we talked about at the academic meeting is actually professional development and training. However, if you start that first and you spend money and then when you put your new plan in place, you don't have it. That's my only concern. Now, it may be how quickly we kind of identify the areas, but one of the things, while we want to move quickly, that maybe we want to reflect on is in ways have we tried to execute things too quickly and it didn't quite, we didn't see the sustainability that because, all the pieces were in place. So I think that's fine. It's just one of those things, to get developed generally in any area is probably fine, but if we're really going to think about launching something major, training in the professional development at that point becomes super, super important. And so I would like to see that as a budget, an extra budget consideration going into next year. And maybe there are some initial things like we had talked about, academic journals, literature review, things like that, webinars on some things we know we want to move into, that would certainly be an area that I think would be helpful if they had some additional resources.
Yeah, we definitely won't plan aside to any short-term investments that align to this long-term strategic thinking. Otherwise, it gets denied in the next board meeting.
No motion for closed session?
I'd just like to comment for the record, thanks to the students for our Great Kindness Challenge Week goodies. So for the record, and I make a motion, we adjourn and go into closed session to discuss personnel and other closed session matters.
Second.
Thank you once again for joining us, and again, echo Dave, the Kindness Challenge, awesome idea. I'm going to steal some of that. I think that's really great, whether it's in school or at our houses with our own family. So that's really fun. We appreciate everyone coming out.